When couples come to me with communication issues, this is what I do with them. I ask them to sit in front of each other and to tell me about what their conflicts are. Now, often the case is when they're in the high state of that conflict, there's an activation. And whether it's one of them or both of them, either way, the biggest struggle that they're having is they don't feel heard and they don't feel like someone is listening or present with them. The person who gets overwhelmed often is the one that withdraws or shuts down or becomes disconnected. And the person who is perhaps got a lot of energy or raises their voice or is angry or frustrated is the one that maybe is charged up, activated. And the other one being overwhelmed, when they start to withdraw, their energy can become passive. This creates only more frustration here and resentment on this side, and this one starts to feel like all sorts of pain wound bodies can come from this place too, where they start to feel disconnected from the other not hearing them. Instead of becoming passive and withdrawing your energy and going into shutdown, where two people are living and coexisting in a house and feeling so disconnected it's painful. And this can go on for hours and days in some cases, and I know people go on for months like this, where they don't really resolve it. You're not going to be able to hear each other at that point. This person doesn't feel heard, and this person also can't even really listen. It's too much. So I say to them to call out boomerang. Why boomerang? Boomerang is a word that essentially says when one or both people feel overwhelmed, it's important to be able to pause the conversation, because you can't resolve it if you're both in the activation, or if one is in the activation and one is in the disconnect or is shut down or withdrawn, and you feel that you're reaching for them and you're screaming louder doesn't help. So the thing to do is to be able to shift this kind of activation into something that is where you can both be in a listening state. And why boomerang is important is the person who feels overwhelmed, usually it's them that calls the word, or it can be the other person, but whoever calls it is the one that commits to circling back, that's why I call it boomerang, and coming back to the conversation. Whether it's 24 hours or 12 hours or 2 hours, that whoever calls it commits to coming back and initiating the conversation again, so that you can come back to the table from a more settled place, not a high activation place, and be able to have the difficult conversations from maybe even a grounded place inside of yourself. And there are ways to ground yourself, many different ways to ground yourself through movement and breath. And ultimately to be able to sit face to face, and before you even open up the dialogue, you look into each other's eyes. And I ask them, when I'm doing couple session work, I ask them, when you're just looking in the eyes, remember the day that you met, and remember the day that you started to really love this person in front of you. And to take yourself back to that place. Why? Because it helps you to drop in your heart. Because when we're in our head about not being heard, and this wasn't right, and this wasn't okay, and needing our voice to be louder, it doesn't help resolve. So when we start to drop into our heart and we look at this person, and both of you have to do this step, where you look in each other's eyes and remember the day, and something starts to soften in how you see them, soften inside of yourself. And from that place, you take steps in repair. And you speak from the place of I. I noticed I felt hurt or angry when you didn't show up yesterday. Or I noticed that, I'm withdrawing and disconnecting when you raise your voice, but I really want to hear you. So notice there was no blaming in that language. It's not you make me angry. It's I notice I get angry when you didn't show up yesterday, for example. So your communication style is really important. I speak a lot about this in the training. And learning how to use the word boomerang, because boomerang can put a high activation or a high disconnection into circling back and creating connection. You both have to agree to it, and you both need to commit to it, and that's how this will work. Give it a try. Let your partner know that you would love to use the word boomerang, and give him a little bit of the structure. and how you start the circling back and where you start from, eye-to-eye connection, maybe even taking a few breaths together. If you found this video valuable or you know someone who could benefit from it, please share and drop us a like. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.